You've tried intermittent fasting, keto, paleo, vegetarian, and it worked until it didn't. As a matter of fact, you might have found you added more weight back on afterwards. Could you really have busted your metabolism? Let's take a deeper dive into what might be going on. One of the biggest things that patients tell me when they come in is that they don't understand they're eating so few calories and they're not losing any more weight. Could they have busted their metabolism? And the truth is, there are a number of things you could have done to negatively change your metabolism. We are extremely adaptable creatures, for good and bad. And one of the things that changes the way the body responds is when we take in less food. When somebody comes in who's been intermittent fasting or cutting calories drastically, we can almost bet on the fact that their thyroid is going to have slowed down. Now, this doesn't mean that they have or that you have hypothyroidism. What it means is that the thyroid has adapted to what you are doing around you, so the number of calories that you are intaking at that time. More often than not, we are able to change that without having to go on thyroid hormone. Definitely talk to your practitioner to discuss that. But don't be surprised if you're doing intermittent fasting, you do a thyroid test, you see that TSH level is higher and wonder what's happening. So what is happening in the thyroid? Let's take a deeper look. The brain produces thyroid stimulating hormone, which tells your thyroid to produce thyroid hormone. Now, the more sluggish the thyroid, the louder the brain has to think of it. I like to think of it as if you've got kids. If they respond really well, you don't need to yell at them. You can just say, hey kids, go to work. So hey thyroid, produce thyroid. If it's sluggish and it's not listening, the brain has to yell. So it's like when you have to yell at your kids to empty the dishwasher. If the thyroid's not working well, your brain has to yell at the thyroid to produce that thyroid hormone. That's why the number TSH will be high if you are more hypothyroid or more sluggish. Now, the thyroid produces a lot of T4, which is inactive, and a little bit of T3, which is active. So how do we get that active hormone? We have to produce it in the peripheral organs. So those peripheral organs are your liver, your kidneys. That's where we're going to see the most change in that T4 to T3 conversion. Remember, we're always talking about a good microbe, good healthy gut microbe. Well, that's because we're going to see that T4 to T3 conversion happen in the intestines as well, and 20% of that is going to be from that bacteria in the gut, the good bacteria. We're also going to see the conversion happening in the heart and the skeletal muscles in the brain. Again, this is why when we have thyroid issues, we see changes in all these different organs. Now, what we also see happen, and another reason where we can get a sluggish metabolism, even if all of your thyroid numbers seem normal, is because certain things can cause more reverse T3. Now, on average, everybody produces about 20% of reverse T3. So this is your inactive form of thyroid hormone. But if we are in a state of extreme stress or inflammation, or there's an infection, or there's an extreme calorie reduction, we can see more of this conversion happening into reverse T3. What that means is, even if all your thyroid numbers are normal, we might see slowing down of that thyroid hormone. So less T3, and the thyroid is your body's thermostat. So you might notice a decrease in temperature, a decrease in digestion, more constipation. So all the signs that yes, metabolism has actually slowed down and we're not burning as many calories as we were. Another piece of it is going to be that most likely you've lost muscle. So now moving away from thyroid, another piece where we might see a decrease in have you busted your metabolism. It's that it's not busted, but if you've lost all that muscle, then the metabolism is also going to slow down, because we know that your BMI is in proportion in relation to how much muscle mass you have or how much you weigh. And then the third piece is going to be the hormones. So there's a whole intricate dance going on with our hunger hormones. So leptin is the hormone that tells your brain, hey, I'm full, stop eating. So the more fat cells you have, the more leptin you produce. So the more hormone going to your brain saying, stop eating, I'm not hungry anymore. Now, just like you can become insulin resistant or sensitive, so too can you become leptin resistant or sensitive. So I like to think of insulin as what's knocking on the door for the cells to open up. So if you've got glucose, we know that glucose is poisonous to the body. It has to get inside the cells or else we get diabetes. So insulin comes along, knocks on the doors of the cells to allow the glucose inside. Well, if we're not listening to that knock, then the glucose stays outside and we become more and more at risk for diabetes, but we also become more and more insulin sensitive or insulin resistant. So we're no longer hearing that knock. So that's what's happening with the leptin as well. There might be high levels of leptin, but we're not hearing that knock. If there's been a long period of time where you have had more weight on you, more fat, so then even when you decreased it and things are changing, your brain's just not hearing that number. So what are some of the things we can do to fix it? Well, everyone's going to be different. Often one of the first things we do when people want to lose weight is increase their calories. It's maybe only for a certain number of days, and it's scary, but more often than not, we see that this increase in weight, even for a little bit of time, can cause these things to start working better, and then we see the scale start to move. Changing timing of eating. Many of us are intermittent fasting because it's easy. Your metabolism, it hasn't made you hungry yet, especially in the morning. You become used to it, and so it's easy to do. So many people will say, I'm not a breakfast person. It's easy to not be a breakfast person. It's harder to eat breakfast, but often we'll see that's when we can get the metabolism back on track. So changing the times that you eat. Making sure you get enough protein. It's hard to do. I have created a protein cheat sheet. So follow me on Instagram and you'll see that come through at certain times for you to get that one. And I've also created a How Metabolically Busted Are You quiz. So I've touched on a few different things that might be causing your metabolism to have slowed down, but there are a number of others. So it's really great to get that understanding. So click on the link, take the quiz, and let me know how you do.